Hello, this is Jeffrey Meldon welcoming you to Meldon Law and Friends. This is our 40th episode, and we are not only on Facebook and YouTube, but also 39 audio platforms, and we're excited to bring another great episode of Meldon Law and Friends to you. I want to announce that this coming Saturday, July 31st, at Citizens Park in Gainesville, Florida, from 10 to 12, we are sponsoring the PAVE Stop the Violence Back to School rally. Meldon Law is going to be giving away, along with other sponsors, 3,000 backpacks filled with school supplies, and there's also going to be a lot of other goodies. Carrie, who's the guest speaker, and what show was he on in TV?
The guest speaker is a gentleman by the name of Todd Bridges. He was formerly a child star in the show Different Strokes, which aired in the 80s. And his name in the show was Willis, which I'm sure everyone knows the phrase, what you talking about, Willis, when it's said in the show. But apparently the show had a lot of bad luck. He's the only remaining surviving actor from that show, which was a fairly popular show in the 1980s. And he had gone through some difficult times dealing with substance abuse and violence in his past. So I think as of 15, 20 years ago, he reformed, and part of his Reformation project is going around the country and teaching young children about violence, the effects of violence, not only on your career, but also on, other people's lives, and how it can affect more, a multiplier of people as a result of making decisions that you feel emotionally at the time, and the repercussions that occur. So Pastor Carl Anderson, who is integral to this particular project, which has been going on for 22 years, and PAVE stands for People Against Violence Enterprises, has been organizing this backpack giveaway, which occurs once a year, and there's 3,000 backpacks that are fully loaded with school supplies. And this Saturday from 10 a.m. till noon, any individuals that want to get a backpack can just show up to Citizens Park, not Citizens Field, but Citizens Park, which is adjacent to Citizens Field, and get your backpack. And it's filled with school supplies. It's a great event. There's free vaccines if necessary, and there's also a free free testing if testing is needed. So with that being said, we are looking forward to this July 31st, 10 a.m. to noon, coming down to the area next to Citizens Field, which is called Citizens Park.
Yes, and in addition to the backpack, you can get your Meldon Law shades, and we are very, very excited about these new additions. We just got them in this morning, and I think I'm going to start. We have both blue and green, so you get your choice of colors. And anyhow, it's a very cool event. The sheriff's going to be there. The chief of police is going to be there. Lots of folks that are very involved in the community are going to be there. Today, as our special guests, we have a lady and gentleman who are very, very involved in our community. And I would like to welcome Chris Russell, who is the director of the Haven Hospice. He's currently vice president. Is that correct, Chris?
That's correct.
And Sharon Jones. And what is your title there, Sharon?
My title is vice president for development, but actually that means I'm in charge of fundraising.
Well, that's a great and maybe the most important position, okay? Because without gas, you can't run a car unless you have a Tesla or something else.
That's right.
So anyhow, let's jump right into it. Chris, Give us a short background as far as how you got into Haven Hospice and some of the things that you do there.
Thanks, Jeffrey. About 10 years ago, in 2010, I'm a nurse by trade, decided to shift my career goals a little bit, realized I was good at talking to people about what was wrong with them and answering questions, and that led to working with some hospice nurses on certain committees at the hospital, and that led to me becoming a hospice nurse. And I have trouble saying no, so every position that came my way, I guess I just accepted and worked my way up. So that's
And can you tell us a little bit about your experience as far as working your way up? What were some of the most impactful experiences that you've had?
Ooh, that's an excellent question, and there's been a lot of experiences in 10 years. I've gotten to meet a lot of different families. Probably my most impactful ones deal with young family members. You know, when I say young, 40 down, 40 and less. I mean, just to give you a reference, when they encounter a horrible disease, a life-limiting illness, working with these families and getting to be involved in that care takes a lot of planning and a lot of thought behind the scenes, and really helping guide them down this journey that you only get one chance at. There's no second chances at helping them, guide them through this process, and so you want to do the best you can.
So I've had close friends who've passed away and have spent their last days with Haven Hospice out at your facility off 39th Avenue. And I was just amazed at the care, the love that exists in Haven Hospice. I was interested to find out that not only do you do end-of-life care, but you help people who are in difficult situations as well as end-of-life care.
That's absolutely correct. We have a number of different programs at Haven, one of which being advanced care planning, where we can come out and work with you and your family on what your end-of-life wishes are and get those documented up and a copy given to your doctor, as well as you get to keep a copy. We bring a copy back out to you so that people know what you want to have done when a certain time comes.
So like advanced directives, is that what you're talking about?
Advanced directives are part of it. Advanced care planning, really, you can guide your family through what traditions you want done, what kind of events you want to do towards the end of your life so that they can make sure certain things happen. That's probably one of the most fulfilling things we've done at Haven was start our Make a Difference Fund. It's 100% funded by our employees, and that way we can try and make something happen for families, whether it's get them plane tickets to have a loved one they haven't seen come and see them, an air conditioner unit for their house because it's too warm. You know, we really have tried to reach out and make this the best possible experience for these families.
So you have an actual facility out, what's the park called out there?
Health
area?
park. The
Pardon?
health park.
The health park,
The health
yeah.
park.
And, but in addition to that, you were telling me most people choose to spend their last days at home.
Correct. That's less than 10% of our care are provided for within an inpatient center like that. About 90% of our care is provided wherever a patient calls themselves, wherever they're living, whether it's a house, or, an apartment, or even at an ALF, an assisted living facility. We can come in and provide care anywhere possible.
I know that a lot of times hospitals the doctors will collaborate and meet with the patient and the families and say, there's only so much more we can do for you at this point, and you must get a lot of referrals that way.
Absolutely. A lot of them do come in from, a physician type setting, where, as you said, they've done as much curative medicine as they can. And so they'll call us in and actually sometimes have us deliver the difficult news.
So How do you deal with that? I mean, you're helping people, which must be incredibly rewarding. On the other hand, you're dealing with very, very sad situations day in and day out. Emotionally, how do you deal with all of that?
Ooh, personally, it's a fine line to walk. It just like any other healthcare situation. It's hard to turn that switch off. So you have to have a buddy system. So if you're getting to the point where you need to start taking care of yourself, you've got somebody close at work that can deliver that information to you. So yes, it's a very, very fine, delicate line to walk sometimes, but you have to give yourself some space. It's not for everybody. It is mentally and emotionally challenging, as you said, but it is the most rewarding work I've ever done.
Well, that's amazing. And I know for the families that it's very difficult because someone in the family will jump in and say, I'm going to help, right? And then all of a sudden they get worn down and emotionally dragged out, and they're going, wait a minute, I signed up for more than what I thought it was going to be. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Within hospice, whatever program you're on, there are 4 levels of care, and one of those is respite care. That does not mean you have to have a symptom to come into one of our inpatient care centers. We can provide a 5-day respite for that caregiver where we're going to take care of that family member for you. You can certainly come and visit, but you don't have to do any of the caregiving. We'll go ahead and take care of that for you, let you get some rest and relaxation so that you're balanced up and ready to go after 5 days.
And that's part of the planning that y'all do in the beginning. If you're moving somebody to their home or they're staying in their home, that you help sit down and you have the experience of dealing with this, day in and day out, so you're able to give them some guidance based on your experience.
Absolutely.
Now we have a question here. Are Haven services available outside of Alachua County? Go ahead, Sharon. Why don't you talk a little?
Yes, the Haven services are provided in 18 counties, Alachua being one of them, and I'll try to name them. So it's Alachua, Clay, Duval. Actually, I do better with cities. Jacksonville, Chiefland, Lake City, Orange Park, DeLand, Gainesville, Palatka, Chiefland.
And the surrounding communities around it.
Yes, that's 18 counties. So Haven covers 18 counties. And they have 5 care centers, just as the E.T. York Care Center is located in Gainesville, Florida, as Jeffrey mentioned, on 39th Avenue. We have a care center in Palatka, the Roberts Care Center. We have a care center located in Orange Park, the Custard Care Center. We have another care center in Lake City, and we have one in Chiefland. And so we have extensive coverage over 18 counties.
Now, are these residential centers or are they offices to help people?
They are, they're care centers, so we have inpatient beds in all of those centers. And we have administrative offices that are generally attached to the care centers, as they are at E.T. York.
What amazed me when I was out there was how friendly and supportive the staff is. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Haven does have just wonderful, caring, giving staff. It takes a very special person to be a hospice caregiver because, as Jeffrey pointed out, it is emotionally very draining. But these caregivers get up every day and deliver the same kind of caring, compassionate caregiving that as if that were the first time they'd ever done it. And so I can't really say enough and praise those caregivers, particularly as they faced COVID-19.
Yeah, what was the complications that COVID-19 created? Chris, you can.
That would be staffing and resource challenges. We knew early on that there was a finite amount of personal protective equipment, such as gloves, masks. That was a challenge, making sure we had enough soap was enough challenge at one point, but we got through it. I will have to say, this is one of the best organizations when it comes to leadership that I've ever worked for. We came together early on March 2nd, started meeting twice a day to make sure that all of our nurses and patient-facing staff had every piece of equipment they needed. So I'm very proud of it.
Not only that, but you were protecting the most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And fortunately, Jeffrey, we did have some very generous donors who donated all kinds of supplies, including sheets, bed sheets, and our volunteers made gowns for our caregivers, handmade gowns.
Sharon, if someone wants to donate to Haven Hospice, I know there's the Attic store, which is on 8th Avenue near the police department, which I've actually been in many years ago.
Good.
And
Come back.
I'm going to come back. Definitely. I don't need to clutter. I'm over cluttered as it is, but when I move into a bigger house, and maybe I'll come back.
And it's
But
right around our office.
It's right around our office.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
actually a really nice store. It's got some cool stuff in there. I remember I got an old, I think it was a vintage Dior tie. But how are the people in Gainesville supposed to, or around North Central Florida, supposed to give back if they want to Haven Hospice? What is the best way?
Well, certainly the Gainesville Attic is one way to do it, whether you want to donate, whether you want to volunteer. Our attics are really staffed by volunteers. We have 2 paid people. We have a manager and an assistant manager in each of our 5 resale stores, and the rest are volunteers. And so we always appreciate donations when you're moving to a smaller or downsizing or moving to a larger home. Certainly you can make donations directed to Haven Hospice, tax-deductible donations at our Gainesville location, which is out on 4200 Northwest 90th Boulevard.
Well, thank you very much. We are just getting started, but we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes on Meldon Law and Friends.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 280 discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
I've done mornings here on Sky Radio for 17 years. Jeffrey Meldon started doing his weekend show here 16 years ago. One of the things that separates Jeffrey is I don't see him out there hollering for people's business. I see him out there investing in the community. He's touched a lot of lives, and a lot of it he'll never know what a difference he made in somebody's life about information that he has shared on the air.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. Another announcement, we are having our PAVE Stop the Violence rally this Saturday morning, July 31st, 10 to 12 at Citizens Park in Gainesville. Let's support a great organization put together by Reverend Carl Anderson, who is giving away 3,000 backpacks filled with school supplies. The purpose of the organization is to try to give constructive, progressive alternatives to at-risk use within our community. And Meldon Law will be supporting the backpacks as well as our new Meldon Law sunglasses. So come and support the kids, support the rally, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're very excited about that. Our guests today, Chris Russell and Sharon Jones from Haven Hospice, and you have your own fundraisers coming up, right? So let's talk about that.
We do. We have one fundraiser a year, and it's called Viva, and it will be Viva 2021. It's been in existence for 19 years. This year it will be held on Friday, November the 12th, out at Valley View in Alachua, which is right on the Alachua-Columbia County line. And this year we're honoring our caregivers as superheroes because, of course, They were treating COVID patients early on. They continued to treat patients no matter what. And so we thought the only theme we could really propose was superheroes. So our 30 of our caregivers will be there. They don't know it yet, but they're going to be wearing capes, superhero capes. So everybody there will know who they are and can recognize them. And certainly we're always open and looking for sponsors. We do sell whatever tickets are left, because sponsorship includes table of 10, and we generally sell it out. So we have entertainment. We have the Batmobile will be there with us this year, and so we're really looking forward to a fun evening.
What Batmobile? The old one or the new one?
The old one.
Oh, the original.
The original
The cool one.
The cool one,
Yeah.
yes.
That was a
Yes.
modified Corvette, right?
Yes, yes, and it will be parked out there so people can take pictures of it. And there's also a Batman collection that will be inside Valley View for folks to take a
Well,
look at.
count me in. I'm a big Batman.
So November 12th,
November 12th.
Valley View, what time?
Dinner, it's 5:30, so there's cocktails, dinner, entertainment. We'll have dueling pianos, and we do have a program where, again, we'll honor these caregivers.
Well, I think Meldon Law ought to support this.
Well,
event, huh?
what better institution to support than Haven Hospice? How do people out there get in touch with Haven Hospice?
Well,
if they-
first I'll say thank you to both of you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, you can go to our website, beyourhaven.org. You can call Haven, or certainly you can mail anything to 4200 Northwest 90th Boulevard. But again, it's Friday, November 12th. And I don't have the 800 number committed to memory. Do you recall what it is, Chris?
I do not have 800 number committed to memory, but for those of you that don't mind the area code, I believe our number is 352-378-2121.
And I do have the 1-800 number.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
gonna come
Thank
in
you to
by
the
Carrie.
rescue.
Like Batman, I'm coming to the rescue here. It's 1-800-727-1889. So that's 1-800-727-1889. www.beyourhaven.org. And that's without the E. It's BEYOURHAVEN.org.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Well, that's really exciting, and Meldon Law loves community organizations, and Haven Hospice is an amazing group of caregivers that help people get through some of the most difficult situations you can imagine.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about situations where somebody maybe is in an end stage of their life. What are some of the things that Haven Hospice does for the community to help people that are just, they're dealing with a loved one who's got serious dementia, or they've got these problems that, that are not necessarily terminal illness, but other problems?
Great question. We have a bereavement department that not only handles grief, but handles some education in those areas. Pre-COVID, we would go out and put on groups in different ALFs around the city and around different key areas that had interest in it or would call and ask. But right now, a lot of it's done by teams, so it's a lot of individual type question and answer sessions with one of these counselors now. But we've got some well-trained experts in these areas and stuff to help deal with that. We do have some bereavement support groups still going on, but they're in small group numbers instead of the larger numbers that we were seeing before.
So if somebody is just besides themselves because a loved one has some medical condition that is not easily manageable at home, what are some of the examples of things you can do to help them come up with solutions?
Right. When you are on hospice services with a terminal illness, you have a team of people helping you care for that individual. You get a nurse case manager, a social worker, a chaplain if you would desire, as well as a nursing aide, physician, nurse practitioner. So you have a bunch of people that you can reach out to and come. We have to come and meet with you. We meet with everybody at minimum about once a week, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week, trying to get people educated up to where how to take care of somebody, how to turn somebody without making the pain worse, what types of foods they might like, what's going on with the, the digestive system, why aren't they eating as much? So there's a lot of interaction between you and your team that you get to help take care of your loved one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at an age now where a lot of my friends have parents, right, who are losing it. I'm not losing it yet, am I, Gary?
I hope not. I hope not.
But anyhow, those are probably the most common situations that I see where my friends are going, mom or dad is losing it, and I'm trying to do it myself, and I'm just besides myself because it's not working. So do you redirect people to other agencies, or does hospice actually do some planning in those directions?
Oh, no, absolutely. So let's say you call in for the first time and you get an information visit by one of our well-trained admission staff. They're going to come out, and if for whatever reason you don't have a life-limiting illness, but you do need that help, they're going to coordinate getting you to one of the best fitting healthcare organizations that could be. So it may be somebody that's not a skilled type of nursing or medical society, but somebody that can come and help do light housekeeping, maybe prepare lunch while you're at work. And that way when you come home, your loved one has had a meal for the day and has gotten cleaned up and stuff. So we try to coordinate amongst all of our partners that we work with.
You guys must have a huge budget, right?
We don't have, I wouldn't say we have a huge budget, but one thing about hospice care is it's covered by Medicare. So if you have Medicare, you have a hospice benefit to it, as well as Medicaid covers it, and so do private insurances. That covers most of our patients that are on hospice services. We have about, I think it was, if I remember the numbers right, Sharon, about 1.5% of our care is not funded by any of that. But we don't, if you call us and you need hospice services, we don't admit you based on your ability to pay. We admit you on what your needs are, and then I rely on somebody like Sharon and our fundraisers to help cover your care. So we take everybody that we can.
Incredible.
So that's a very important point for our listeners. Regardless of what your financial ability is, whether you have Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, or none of that, call Haven Hospice and they will help you out. Whether they're doing it themselves or they direct you to the resources within the community, they know what to do. And I want to thank both of you for coming on. Again, let's go talk really quickly about the November 12th, Valley View, the fundraiser, because that's something that people in the community, and you go to your, if you work for a company, go to your boss, tell them Haven Hospice needs support. There's this really neat party going on November 12th. It's going to be fun.
Yep.
And we're going to have superheroes all over the place, right?
That's right.
And it's vital to allowing Haven Hospice to serve everyone in the community.
Correct. Haven has been here 42 years.
Wow.
So we're looking forward to the next 42.
Now, is Haven Hospice just, the name Haven Hospice, is it just north and north central Florida where we are?
Yes. In those 18 counties.
In 18 counties.
Yes. It's Haven wherever you
Yeah,
are.
because I've been familiar with Haven Hospice for a long time, and it's an amazing resource that we have within the North Florida community. So please spread the word. Viva 21, November 12th at Valley View. Just go to Haven Hospice website. You will find it there, I am quite sure. And it's an organization that almost everybody will have some connection to at some time in their life. So again, Chris Russell, Sharon Jones.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
for
And
attending. Appreciate it.
Meldon Law, you can count on to support Haven Hospice.
Thank you
So
very
thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you both
Appreciate
very
it.
much for having us on.
Well, I was in a truck accident. Because of the accident, I've resulted in 3 back surgeries. We saw advertisements on TV, and guess who popped up more often than not? It was Jeffrey. The communication that he provided was so appreciative. He shows his compassion as a human. He assisted us in achieving one of our dreams, the acquisition of a home, and we're here today with smiles on our face with the assistance from Jeffrey.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
The Meldon Law Firm from the beginning has been built on giving back to the community. I enjoy coming to work as much today as I did in 1971 when I opened my practice. I don't look at this as a job, I look at it as serving other people. While we're alive, what better feeling can you achieve than knowing that you've helped other people and thereby you enrich your own life?
Being a client at Meldon Law was special because I felt like I was really being listened to and I felt welcome by the entire staff. If I were in a situation where I needed legal advice and help, I would absolutely reach out to Jeffrey because his reputation alone speaks for itself. But on a personal level, I know that he would take care of me and help me solve those problems, and I would feel safe with him.
I've done mornings here on Sky Radio for 17 years. Jeffrey Meldon started doing his weekend show here 16 years ago. One of the things that separates Jeffrey is I don't see him out there hollering for people's business. I see him out there investing in the community. He's touched a lot of lives, and a lot of it he'll never know what a difference he made in somebody's life about information that he has shared on the air.
I was riding as a passenger in my friend's vehicle. A fellow ran a stop sign and we T-boned him. Had neck and shoulder and knee injuries and didn't know what to do, and I remember seeing one of Jeffrey's ads. So I gave him a call. He explained everything to me. I'd go see him and everything was done. Everything was taken care of. Don't waste your time with anybody else. Go see Jeffrey.
Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. We are here for the second part of our exciting show today. I want to thank our guests from Haven Hospice. What a incredible organization, and I really want to encourage everybody to support what they're doing at their Viva 21 event. Look it up at Haven Hospice. Just Google it and you will find more information. Our second guest today, I'm so excited about, Tuti Ariet. And Tuti, I know you have a job as a day job where you're involved with insurance,
Yes,
with Ference Group.
Yes, sir.
And I happen to know Jeff Ference very well, and his dad was a guest on our radio
Earl,
show
yes.
on the Sky about 5 years ago. So I know the whole Ference family, and that's a long-time institution in
Yes, sir.
Gainesville.
Yes, sir.
And we really appreciate everything that Ference does. As a matter of fact, at Meldon Law, if you have health insurance, it's with the help of the Ference group.
Florida Blue, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So tell us,
Yes,
how
sir.
did you get into insurance?
Well, I was working with the Diocese of St. Augustine for the past 5 years and doing project management for them. Came back to Gainesville, had some opportunities here. Because of COVID, I don't want to blame everything on COVID, but because of COVID, I was kind of left out. So I started looking for work, and through finding work, I needed to get insurance for myself and my kids, and I was able to do that through Ference Insurance. Once I was talking with them and talking with Jeff, I, kind of said, hey, or he said to me, you can do this. And I said, do what? And he goes, you can sell insurance. And I said, well, you're a lot more able to say that than me, because at the time I wasn't so feeling great about myself in regards to what I was doing. But they've helped me along. I've been able to become now an agent with them, and I'm very excited about my opportunities right now.
Did Jeff take you over to Cedar Key to go fishing
No,
yet?
not yet. I'm good friends with Jeff. We used to be friends in high school, of course, and boys club and all that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, so did you grow up in the Gainesville
Yes, sir.
community?
I'm from Gainesville. Yes, sir. I
Oh,
am
were
from
you
Gainesville.
born and raised here?
I was born in Texas. My dad went to University of Florida back in 1956 to come to school here, before the Castro regime took over. And through all his back and forths to going to school here, he had already been dating my mother, and throughout that time, they knew things were getting worse. So when he asked for her hand in marriage, my grandfather said, please get her out of here, because this is getting worse as the days go on. So
When you say get her out of here, where are you talking?
she was in Cuba. My
Okay.
parents are from Cuba. They were born and raised in Cuba. My dad's idea was to come to school at University of Florida and go back to Cuba and raise a family, and that was all taken from them. They couldn't do that. So they've raised a family here. They love the United States of America. They love Florida. The University of Florida was an ideal place for my dad, I think, with the people that were in Cuba at the time. He went to a very prestigious school, Belém, and a lot of those students were coming to the United States to go to school. Some of them were staying in Cuba, of course, to go to school, but a lot of them came here, and they found their opportunity here.
What cities were your mom and dad from in Cuba?
My mom was from Matanzas, and my dad was, I think, Ciego de Ávila. And they're both small little places, but it's funny that their parents and their families moved to Havana. My grandfather on my mom's side had won a lottery in a raffle in a newspaper, and they'd won a house. So
Wow.
they were able to move to Havana. And through that, I come from a long line of teachers and other folks in my mom's side of the family where music and art and teaching was part of their lifestyle. So, being in Havana was kind of the place to be, because all these other little villages, even though they were maintained and very well, good little cities, Havana was where, most of the things were happening in Cuba. So my dad's family moved to Havana. It's interesting, my grandfather on my dad's side was an agricultural engineer, and through being in that, he had an opportunity to take a class here at the University of Florida when my dad was 6 years old. So they came to my dad wanted to come with him. That summer, while my grandfather was in school, I believe the story goes that my dad was just too rambunctious, and my grandmother took him back to Cuba because he couldn't, I guess he couldn't study or couldn't get all the stuff done that he needed to do. But that set a course for my dad to want to come to the University of Florida. He really liked Gainesville, and we've made he's made his career here at the University of Florida, computer science and professor of medicine for the University of Florida for over 45 years.
Wow. So is it fair to say that you bleed orange and blue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we do. We really do.
Well,
we've been around here for a long time. Even though I'm from Texas, even though I have a stronghold for the Texan in me, yes, we're all Gator fans around here.
So where'd you go to high school in Gainesville?
I went to Beholds High School.
Beholds. What
Yep.
year did you graduate?
84.
Okay, you look good. You're a little younger. I'm a little bit younger than you, but I was a GHS graduate in '96.
Okay.
So you maybe know the Blair brothers, David or Don
Of
Blair.
course, yes,
Yeah.
sir. We used to play racquetball at their place over the years. We've been friends with them over the years, absolutely.
So
yes.
Don was my coach growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a good time. He was
Awesome.
Good man.
Awesome. Did you play tennis?
I played tennis. That was my sport. I figured I couldn't play football or basketball as much as I thought I was going to growing up. So tennis was a good fit for me.
So you said you were 86?
96.
96.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
very good.
A little bit later. So,
Okay.
But it's great because people that are born and raised in Gainesville end up staying here a lot of the times because it's a great place
Yes, absolutely.
to raise a family. The community is very closely knit, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure we have a lot of friends in common.
Yes, we do. I'm sure we do. I know we do.
Yeah.
I know we do, for sure.
So I want to switch the topic a little bit
Yes, sir.
to the political situation in Cuba today, because it seems as though there's some undercurrents of discontent now. And I know that you're very passionate about Cuba, and can you tell us a little bit about how what your involvement is now and what your desires are as far as the magnificent country of Cuba?
Well, yes, sir. I had been able to visit Cuba in 2016. I was very fortunate to go for a week with some friends, and it was an amazing experience. Everything my parents and my grandparents had explained to me about, what Cuba was everything and more. It really was. The place is gorgeous. You've been to Havana. It's like around every corner there's something beautiful. It really is. So my passion and really what I'm doing is a very small part. I'm friends with people on Facebook that I have enjoy, talking with and all that. But when I saw on July 11th how people were coming out in the streets of Cuba, it made me, something in me I wanted to do something for the people there. We have a great friend that we share, Elio. Elio and I have had many conversations about this, and I feel for him. I feel for other people that are from Cuba. They have left because they have no other options, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So really my passion is for the Cuban people. I really want to try as best I can so they have support. We need to have support for the Cuban people because if the United States can help, really the help is going to come from diplomacy. Getting Spain involved is a huge part. Getting the European Union involved, other countries in the world, to help in regards to showing the world that the dictatorship in Cuba is just that. It's an illegitimate government. They want to say it is. And as this last 62 years have gone by, they obviously are a legitimate government, but they've lost that to the Cuban people.
For those listeners out there, let's talk a little bit about what happened in early July and what caused what has become a worldwide kind of event in terms of supporting the Cuban people and how the countries can make sure that these people are heard.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think part of what you're hearing, the propaganda coming from Cuba, is that because of COVID, that people are out on the streets, they have their families dying, which is all true. But it's not why they're out on the streets. These people are tired. They've had enough is enough for them. They've lost the fear of going to get beat up. Now they just want to try to get out in the streets and say what they have to say so people will understand. The Cuban government has shut down the internet. They have like a light switch. They can turn it on and off. If you're staying in a hotel, a lot of Cubans will ride around that hotel trying to get internet. And then they can send messages to people, their friends in Havana, let's say, or maybe even friends and family that they have in other parts of Cuba. So it's very important for the U.S., let's just say the U.S., to help in the regard of having internet for those people all the time. I've heard of things happening that either Bezos or some other people will be able to help in that happening, but it hasn't happened yet. Mm-hmm. So they are now shut off. They can't communicate with each other. It makes it very difficult. It's the Cuban people that are going to pull themselves out of this. It's not going to be the Marines. I mean, a lot of people want the Marines, but I don't think it's going to be that productive that way. Mm-hmm. We'll have a lot more bloodshed that way.
It's interesting you talk about the internet, because in December of 2016, I went to Havana for a week. And I stayed with two friends, and one of my friend's daughters who was with us was intent on communicating using the internet. And we did an Airbnb, and it was kind of cool because at that point there was optimism that maybe, you know, things were going to change and open up. Internet was happening, and the exchange of information is crucial to the Cubans regaining their country. So, so I remember my friend's daughter going up to the corner to buy this little card. They had an internet cafe, and you would have to pay some money to go sit in this internet cafe, and you know, you'd buy, you know, a couple hours worth of time, and but she was going back and forth. We were just a couple blocks away, and she kept running back and forth to communicate with her friends.
Yes.
And that's the first time I realized, oh, they don't have easy internet like we have, and that the exchange of ideas and information is limited.
Yes, sir.
So firsthand, I saw just how, number one, it was difficult, it was expensive, and it was considered a privilege in order to be able to get to a place where you could get internet connection. So anyhow, that was one of my firsthand observations. The other thing that I thought was pretty cool at that time was we wound up driving around with cab drivers. Now, as I understand it, there were cab drivers that were driving these newer cars that were provided by Russia or somebody, and that there were the older classic Chevys and Fords that you see in all the pictures, and we wanted to go with the older cars because those were the entrepreneurs.
Yes, sir.
And we met some incredible Cubans, and we said, you know, why are you driving a cab? And he said, number one, we can make more money doing this, and then our goal is to save enough money so that we can, you know, buy an apartment, to buy a condo, because most of the people outside the military and the upper echelon folks in Cuba don't own property there.
Sir.
So it makes it a much different community than anywhere else, not being able to have ownership. I want to get back to that point. We're going to be taking another break, our final break, for Meldon Law and Friends, and we will be back in just 60 seconds.
I've done mornings here on Sky Radio for 17 years. Jeffrey Meldon started doing his weekend show here 16 years ago. One of the things that separates Jeffrey is I don't see him out there hollering for people's business. I see him out there investing in the community. He's touched a lot of lives, and a lot of it he'll never know what a difference he made in somebody's life about information that he has shared on the air.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 2 herniated discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends, and our special guest, Tuti Ariet.
Ariet.
Okay,
Si, senor.
Ariet.
Si, senor.
So anyhow,
Yes, sir.
as some of you may know, my wife Patricia is Cuban-born, and her mom, who lives with us, is also Cuban-born. One of the neat things, being the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, is that we get to go to all these sporting events. And my mother-in-law is 88 years old, born in Cuba, And when we go to baseball, she knows all about it. I said, we call her Mommy. Mommy, how do you know about baseball? She says, well, when I was, a young girl in Cuba, in Guantanamo, okay, I played on a traveling baseball team. So when she goes to the Gator baseball games and softball games, she's intent on what's going on. She knows exactly what the strategies are, and she gets so nervous she has to get up from her seat to walk back to where the concession area is because she's so involved in it. So that's something that we recently learned. I didn't know that.
That is passion.
And my wife Patricia was born when just after Castro came into power, and her family had a prosperous business, the largest department store in Guantanamo, a very, very nice home that's now in the International Registry of Historic Places, and we still have pictures from Cuba when she was born. And shortly after she was born, her father, who was very, very close to everybody at the United States Naval Base in Guantanamo, was accused of being a CIA spy. They came to the house, and as my mother-in-law tells it, they said, your husband is involved with the CIA, and in Spanish or in Cuba, some CIA had to do with an incorporation. And she said, well, what company are you talking about? Okay.
She had no idea what
she had no idea what the CIA was, right? And they were friends with all of the folks from the United States naval base. So they had to. It took them 3 years to get out my wife's father out of prison.
Wow.
One of his old friends went to Castro. The old friend had been ambassador to Russia, and he went to Castro and vouched for him.
Wow.
But they took their home, they took their business, they took every penny they owned, and they had to flee to Venezuela. Okay, and about 22 years ago, the same thing happened in Venezuela, and that's when my wife moved to Miami in the United States and said, I see it coming again.
Yes.
And her family had another prosperous business in Venezuela, and the same thing is happening twice to her in her lifetime.
Yes, sir.
So in our home, we're very, very sympathetic to what's going on in Cuba, and Carrie and I are wearing our SOS buttons. Can you tell us a little bit about what SOS
Well, this is through our friends at Miapa. We've been fortunate to have these for our podcast today. This is in reaction to, let's just say, what's happening here in the United States. The people here, the Cubans that are here, they just had a huge rally in Washington, D.C. this past weekend. And I'll tell you something, there are people in Washington, D.C. from different parts of the country that have been going since July 11th, staying there out in front of the White House, letting President Biden know that they're there and that more are coming. And just in conjunction with everything that's happened, this is for the people in Cuba to understand that there are people here in the United States, which they've been told their whole lives that we're the imperialists, we're the bad guys, okay? And it's the people that are here that are helping support the people there. One of the chants that I've heard out there is that while the Cuban people are on the streets, we're gonna be on the streets. While the Cuban people are there fighting, we're gonna be here fighting. So it's really, I want to say it's international. I don't think it's international yet because there are so many people that don't know about what's happening in Cuba. Even people that I know here in this town that know me, once I start talking to them about it, they don't really get it. They don't truly understand what's happening. And now they hear all this stuff about, hey, now the Cubans are finally, no, they've been struggling for the past 62 years. Now's the time that these younger generation has really said enough is enough. We're tired of this. We have no fear anymore. So those are some of the things that are happening to support the people in Cuba.
And the importance is that it's expanding outside of South Florida, which
Absolutely.
Cuban-Americans have been extremely influential, extremely successful in South Florida. I have an office in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, sir.
And they are absolutely on top of everything that's going on. They're educating anyone that moves in there as to what to do, how to do it.
Yes, sir.
When Cubans come over from the island. But now the rest of the United States kind of knows what's been happening over on that island, which is unfortunate. And the story, like my father's wife had to go through, is not an uncommon story.
No, sir. I was just going to say it's a great story, and not to take that away from anything, but there are a lot of stories like that, and it's a shame that it's happened for so long. Part of the understanding of what we're trying to do, Facebook has been a great platform in regards to people getting the word out. There's a group called All Things Cuban. There are other folks in Miami that have created their own podcasts over the past literally 5 or 6 years, and talking with people in Cuba, because they have had internet here and there, right? So
yes.
they pick up this guy, Oliota, Ola Otola, and anyway, there are a few others that are on the internet Monday through Friday for an hour or two, and they're constantly talking to the people in Cuba saying, we're here, we're supporting you, let's make this thing happen. Because there are a lot of people in this country that want to see a free Cuba. There are a lot of people in this country that, I guess, want the embargo to let's pull the embargo down so that the Cubans in Cuba have a chance. It's not about the embargo. The embargo is something that on paper is a propaganda for the Cuban government to say that this is why this is happening, okay? The U.S. still deals with Cuba on an annual basis. There's more food that comes from the United States than anywhere else in the world.
Right.
So the chicken that they're getting, the beef that they're getting, is all coming from this country. So those things are not part of the embargo, but you'll see that the propaganda that the Cuban government is putting out is saying everything opposite. Okay, they've been manipulating the system. They're just trying to make each other rich. All those generals and the people that are supporting now the new director of the Cuban government is a guy that they have picked up. The Castros have kind of bred into their way of thought, and trying to get him in regards to now he's going to be the oppressor. He's going to be the one who's going to tell them, well, this is what's going to happen.
Well, one of the unique, I just want to say this, one of the unique characteristics of Cuba, which differentiates it from some other communist countries, is that it's an island.
Yes, sir.
And so the internet changed and the radio waves changed a lot of things. But we only have a couple minutes left. I'm going to let Jeffrey take it away.
Yeah, I want to know, what are the action items that people can take to support SOS?
Okay. Really calling, letters, emails to local congressmen, local state representatives. Marco Rubio, the mayor of Miami, let me say that guy has gone above and beyond. He is a great leader in regards to what he's been able to do in Miami. The Cubans have a lot of political power, I could say.
A lot. No, they run, they've been for many years now, for 30 or 40 years.
Yes,
you know, Manny Diaz, the coach of the Miami Hurricanes, his father was the mayor of Miami 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Even though we're Gators, we'll let that pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we got to give props to where
We got to give
have-
props to it's just incredible. I love going down to Miami and learning, because this is a great time. So before we get going, is there anything else that we can do out there to help support the Cuban cause?
Just get the word out. That's why I'm here in regards to that. Get the word out. Try to support the Cuban people in Cuba. See if there's an opportunity to help keep the internet up for those people in Cuba. because the dictators, all they're trying to do is overpower them in regards to, they cut their internet, they cut their power, they cut their water. It's something that's been going on for long enough.
Well, we're at the end of our show, but I do hope that the internet revolution creates another revolution.
Yes, sir.
Because what I hear
That's
is
what we need.
that's what's going on. That the young people, by virtue of getting information through the internet,
Yes.
are changing the attitudes. That people are not willing to just say, we're satisfied with what's going on. They're not satisfied. They want change, and that we can help by spreading the word and making sure that information gets to the people of Cuba, and
Yes,
let
sir.
them determine for themselves the course of action
Exactly.
that needs to be
That's
taken.
what we're hoping to do. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very
Thank you
much.
all. Thank you very
And,
much.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
And this is the end of Meldon Law and Friends, edition number 40. And again, this Saturday, put your glasses on and come to the PAVE Stop the Violence, Saturday, 10 to 12, out at Citizens Park. And we look forward to joining you. And thank you again for joining us on Meldon Law and Friends.